The Dateable podcast is an insider's look into modern dating that the Huffington Post calls one of the top 10 podcasts about love and sex. On each episode, we'll talk to real daters about everything from sex parties to sex droughts, date fails to diaper fetishes, and first moves to first loves. I'm your host, Yue Xu, former dating coach turned dating sociologist. You'll also hear from my co-host and producer, Julie Krafchick, as we explore this crazy dateable world. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dateable podcast, where we discuss everything that is modern dating, especially digging into the whys of people's behavior, including your own. We are so excited to welcome 2021 with all of you, all of our
my God. I feel
old
like
listeners and new listeners alike.
Has there ever been a year that we've been more excited to lose? I feel like this wasn't even like a celebration this year. It was just this weird, somber, just let it happen. But it's also obviously circumstance of where we are.
We went to watch the sunset on New Year's Eve. And just like 2020, it just kept lingering. The sunset took it felt like hours to set. It just would not go down. And everyone around was like, is it time? Is the sun, is it 2021 yet? The sun is still up. So it just kept lingering, but we're so glad to start a fresh new year with all of you.
You know what's funny? I was thinking about this. New Year's is not my favorite holiday.
You hate it.
I hate it. I hate it so much. But it's one of those things that you feel obligated every year to do something.
Right.
So last year, I remember I was like, I kind of just want to stay in and reflect and not do the thing. And then, of course, I felt like the FOMO creep in. So I ended up going to the Virgin Hotel party.
Yeah.
And right at midnight, did I ever tell you this? A ceiling lamp fell on my friend's head, right at midnight. And I'm looking back in retrospect, she was okay. I should preface it and say this, but we ended up getting everything comped and the whole thing. It literally fell right on midnight on 2020. And I was looking back, I'm if that wasn't a bad omen, I don't know what was for this year.
Holy shit. Well, you really should have sued.
I know. They were actually super mean. They were laughing at her and making fun of her. And it was all caught on camera. And that's how she got a refund for us all. And we were damn, we should have been really ringing up that bar tab. We did not take full advantage. Obviously, we didn't know that was going to happen.
That is bullshit. It reminds me of the time that you remember when we had a live show at Broadway Studios.
Yes.
I just gotta put this out in the public. So we had a live event. This was years ago when we first started Dateable, and it was super fun, except this light fell on my forehead in the middle of the show, and I was bleeding, and they didn't do anything about it. And looking back, I'm like, why didn't we sue them or try to get drinks comped or anything? We ended up having to pay for the place. That is fucked up. That was really fucked up. Anyway.
So fucked up.
No.
But anyways, I had a good New Year's because I am now an auntie.
Yay! Congratulations. How exciting. You better be a good role model.
Oh, I'm going to be a great role model. I'm already a great role model.
When did she have the baby? On which day?
The 29th. So right before. So it was a good end to 2020.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And then you spent New Year's Eve with your parents, right?
I did. We had a raging event. My dad promised that he'd make it up all the way to New Year's to midnight. He did. He took a nap, but he got back up.
He took a nap. That's adorable.
And then my mom and I broke out the wine. So it was a rager.
Yeah. You got sloshed and so hungover the next day.
I had no FOMO this year. Did you? I feel like I was totally fine.
How can you have FOMO? Where would you go? Who would you see? I had a great New Year's Eve too. My boyfriend and I stayed at home. We got dressed up though. We stayed at home, popped some champagne. We had the dogs with us, and our friend Trevor did a DJ show over Zoom. And he was actually really fucking good. You will love him, Julie. All the throwbacks.
Where was my invite? I'm just kidding.
I had no idea. I had no idea he had this talent, but he is hired for our next event. Trevor is really fucking good.
My mom and I could have been raging.
Oh, you would have totally been raging. He was DJing up until 2 a.m., I think. And by then, everyone had their cameras off because I think people were either asleep or doing whatever they were doing. And he was still going. Like, Trevor, You the man. He has stamina for hours and hours. But it was so fun. You're right. I had no FOMO. I did not want to be outside. It was so nice just staying in.
I did pop into our sounding board happy hour
with
because
Shieldy.
Yep, Shieldy was hosting, one of our wonderful hosts. And I saw, like, I was in there with a couple people, and then over the night I saw more and more people join. Mm-hmm. So, there's always something. It's a weird year for all, but I think honestly, I was just like blown away by some of the messages that we got from the sounding board. Like, I literally cried when I read one that Swanee wrote about just like how this was like, she kind of came into 2020 with heartache, and then this group and this podcast has really like totally shaped, her, like she just said that this was like the silver lining of 2020.
Yeah, I want to read a little bit of it.
Yeah, read it. Put it in her own words.
Yeah, she put it so beautifully. She said, when this year started, I started with heartbreak. It started with heartbreak for me. That's when I started looking up dating on podcast apps and found the DATEABLE podcast. This group has not only been a silver lining for me, it turned out to be one of the biggest highlights of my year. And then she went on to say, who would have thought strangers online would become some of my closest confidants and hear so much of my inner world, fears, insecurities, and heartbreak and all. Thank you all for holding this space and making it safe and welcoming. And thank you for the diversity, your perspectives, your willingness to teach and learn, your presence, and your vulnerability. Thank you, Julie and UA, for starting the podcast, starting this space, and letting me indulge in hosting weekly podcast discussions. I leave every podcast discussion and happy hour feeling nourished, cared for, and connected. Oh, goosebumps. It's just so beautifully written. And she's so introspective and so humble. That was like the first word that came to mind when I first met Swanee on one of our virtual events. It's like, she is so humble. Yeah. Thank you so much for being part of our community. And we are so lucky to have you. And we're so glad that you found us. Like, talk about serendipity, going through heartbreak and then finding us. It just shows you that in times of adversity, there's always a silver lining and another door opens.
And we got so many people writing in about just like how connected they felt in this time where you really it's a time that a lot of us felt very unconnected, especially if you moved to a new city, especially if you were like stranded living on your own or whatever your circumstances. Even let's say you had a whole house full of people, you still might have felt that need for connection. And I think like just seeing all the messages pour in, like I think these are just some of the top ones that we wanted to read, but this really made our New Year's. Like I think people ask, like, we've been doing this for 5 years, which I don't know about you, UA, but this is probably the longest thing I've done outside of like a corporate. Yeah. And like what keeps us going is this. Like, I think that is really what keeps us going. Like, also we're learning too, but I think just hearing that it's impacting people and that we're making a difference for people, like that's what keeps us going every day.
And if you're wondering what this episode is about, I guess we never really set up this episode. We are officially in our off season. We will be starting season 12 very soon, but off season for us still means content. We're still churning out episodes, but each episode will be focused on a different theme. So the theme of this episode is all about setting intentions for the new year. We're all about setting intentions instead of resolutions. I think resolutions are such bullshit and you should throw those out the 2020 door, but setting intentions will help you create the mindset and set the tone for the new year. So we wanted to dive into some of the intentions that our Facebook members have posted and some of our own intentions.
In 2020, we all had our 2020 vision. Do you remember how overused this? Yeah. Who bought the calendar? Who bought the journal? We all did it. Okay. Like
everyone was like, this is my year. 2020 is my year.
And everyone's like, I have this really unique concept, 2020 vision. And it was like everywhere.
I know. And little did they know COVID was hovering around the corner being like, 2020 is my year.
But that's exactly the point I was trying to make, was that it's like you can't always control life. And I think what I like about intentions is it is something you can control, because you can always control your mindset. You can always control like what is that like, North Star that I want to like put out into the universe. And I think that's what it's better than resolutions or I need to accomplish X, Y, and Z. Like sometimes, like, I don't know about you, but I feel like I always undersell how long things are going to take. I'm always like, oh, this will take like a month or this will take like a year. And then it's it's like, nope, takes a lot longer. So I think having the intention is just putting you on that path instead of making these unrealistic things that are just going to set us up for disappointment.
And I think after 2020, everyone is very cautious of 2021. Yes. No one's like, I'm going to conquer and slay this year.
No, you heard none of those like new year, new you, which I hate.
No, I hate that. Fuck that. Everyone's like, new year, same shit. Yep. But at least we can set the pace and set the tone for how we want the new year to go. So we put up this poll that was, in place of our would you rather, which is like, if you were to choose one word to set the tone for the rest of the year, which of these words would you rather pick? And the top 3 words that surfaced were growth, courage, and compassion. And those are 3 really wonderful words because they're very different. Growth is all about, I think about like personal growth and how can you push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Courage, I think, is about acting upon that growth. Once you've gotten past the comfort zone, then how do you surpass that and then keep pushing yourself forward? And compassion is, don't forget about people while you're on your journey. You can't, sort of like discount people's feelings and their experiences. It's all about being on your journey, but also making sure that there's no roadkill along the way and showing compassion for other people. So really nice 3 words that our community chose.
So should we take a quick break to talk about our sponsor?
Yeah, let's do it. This episode is sponsored by a book called Fairy Godmothers, Inc. by Saranna DeWylde. Filled with quirky charms, sexy romance, witty banter, and refreshing unique characters, the first installment of the series is the perfect rom-com with a touch of magic. So get this, Ever After is a town that runs on magic, and that magic is fueled by love. So when the 3 fairy godmothers in charge of Ever After's magic supply realize the town's power has started to wane, they conspire to transform Ever After into a premier wedding destination in hopes of attracting a major infusion of love to the town. Now, Fairy Godmothers, Inc., this particular series features a second chance love story between an unlucky young woman named Lucky Fujuki and her college boyfriend, who now runs a chocolate empire. So you can read all about this book at kensingtonbooks.com or wherever books are sold.
Awesome. So there was this post that I saw that Yue's friend put up. Lucy, we'll give her a shout out. And it was like, it was like a word search, like one of those ones that you would like see in, like those teen mags growing up. And it was like, what are the first 4 words that you see? And that's going to be like your intention of the new year.
Yeah.
And I love the shit and I always fall for it.
Do you love the shit? I stared at it for like 30 minutes. I only saw one word.
I know. I asked you if that's where your inspiration came from, and you're like, "Fuck this shit."
Like I can't do this.
But the words I got that I thought were actually really great. I actually did it twice because I was so intrigued by it. But I was like, I need to have this good intention. But I got connection, creation, breakthrough, and strength. And then the next 4 words I got were man, gratitude, money, and health.
Man. Man. I love it. It's not men, it's man. There's the man.
Singular.
That's a lot of words you saw. I need to stare at that thing a little bit longer. Because all I saw was alignment, which is actually a pretty good word.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic intention for myself to set this year. Because, sometimes you feel like your life has multiple lives that are not moving in parallel paths. I just feel like this is a year where all of my different paths will align together for one purpose. So maybe that's the reason why I only saw one word the entire time. Just trying to align.
Actually, that's super interesting for you. And that's a really good intention. I think out of the ones that I have, I think I'm going to go with, I think connection actually almost was like a 2020 word for me.
Yeah. Like,
especially like with our community and all of that. Like, I think connection can be a romantic connection, but it doesn't have to be. It can be in many shapes and forms. And I don't know, I think 2020 is a weird year, but I feel like I felt more connected to friends and family and our community and all different people in this year, even though so much was virtual, which is ironic. But I think the word intention I'm going to focus on this year is probably creation. And I think that's such a powerful word. It actually kind of reminds me of one of our past episodes, like relationship. Are you sure you want one?
People love that one.
I know. And I love it too, because it was all about like okay, what do you really want? And then how do you create it? And like, how do you create a relationship, not just maintain it, and create one that works for you, whether that's, you know, going at it solo or having a partner, but it doesn't need to fit like a set, like, you know, like those set rules of society that we've always been told. And I think for me, like creation is such an important word. It plays to, you know, professional life and what we do here, but also like I see it showing up in personal life.
What I like about that word for you as well is that it shows that you are in control.
Yes.
You're the one creating the life that you want instead of waiting for things to happen to you. Like I think when people say, I want better luck this year, better fortune this year, those are things that are out of your control.
Totally.
That's not an intention. That's just a wish. But creation is beautiful because then this is something you can take control of.
Yep. I really like alignment too. I think that's a great one because a lot of times we see like different aspects of our lives and we're like, how do these all come together? And I think it could be that, but it also could be just like aligning on like, what are my core goals? Like what are the things that really truly matter to me? I'm also going to play off one of our last episodes of the year, which is Can You Have It All with Mei Lee. And I know Yue's number one girl crush.
She really is.
She knows it too. It's basically Yue in 25 years.
I hope. I mean, if Mei Lee is who Yue Xu is in 25 years, I'm on a very good path.
Yeah. You look alike. Your mannerisms are similar. Like,
I love it. I'm just gonna
Yue literally showed me, what was it, the Face app where you like can morph yourself into someone older. And I was like, oh my God, it's May, but it was Yue. And then she did mine and her boyfriends, which were pretty funny.
I know. Yeah. We spend many hours looking at ourselves as older people or as a different gender. You were a really hot boy. I was a really hot boy.
I know. We both were really hot men.
What a tangent. This episode is not sponsored by the Face app.
Nope. But anyways, back to alignment. I think the point was like, you can't have it all. Or if you can, it's at different points of your life. It's not all at the same time. There's always going to be trade-offs in life. And I think what I love about the word alignment is it lets you focus on what is it that is really important to me in life. And I think it's interesting because it's like, there's so many like preconceived notions. Like if you have kids, you can't have a career anymore. Or if you have kids, you no longer talk to your friends. But that isn't the case. It's like, yeah, there might be something that has to go, but whatever is core to you doesn't necessarily have to go away.
Yeah. The word alignment is really fantastic because it's not about having things fall into place. Is giving you the vision to see it all fall into place. You know, it's like you seeing things aligning and making sense together. It's not like you have to force things to happen. So I really like that word as well. And you pulled up some of the intentions from our members.
Oh, yes.
Some of the intentions that they've set for themselves for the new year. Tony said, my intention is to be kinder to myself.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, this is like, we did a couple polls for anyone that's not in the Facebook group. One was the word, and then one was more of just a generic, you know, like, what is your intention? I think there was another one too that I really loved that was from Shannon. Yes.
She says, my intention is to live authentically and put energy towards my reciprocal relationships and let the others go. Wow.
Yeah. And then just the last one we'll read. There were so many. Ricky just was to love in general. And I think that actually is wonderful because, again, love doesn't need to be a romantic love. Like I know he personally just got a new puppy. Like it could be so many different things. Like this was actually kind of playing off what Swanee wrote too, was like, I mean, we kind of gave the abbreviated version of this long post, but there was a part of like, there was so much love in my life in this group, like in this community that wasn't even necessarily romantic love. And the more like love you have, it just softens your edges overall and kind of like sets you up for that partner, or also just sets you up to be happy in life. One of the two, both are going to be great for you.
And how is this related to your love life? Well, we had a question of the day that was, what is one thing you plan on changing in your love life for 2021?
Oh.
We pulled up some really great answers as well. There were a ton. So you definitely get on our Facebook group to read through that. But Alexa said, express my romantic relationship needs and not be a classic self-sacrificer. I think that's a huge one for a lot of people.
Tara, building up my confidence in loving myself in order to attract the right partner for me and to be more upfront about what I want and need from relationships when dating.
Yes.
Oh, I think that one is so important. We're always so focused on like, will they like me? Will, I be chosen? But at the end of the day, this is about your needs. And I think that honestly, for me, that is something that is an intention of this year, is to be, I don't want to say like more selfish, but at least like more self-aware of like what I need a little more. And, like obviously help meet people for where they are, what they need too, but you can't just like totally sacrifice yourself all the time either.
Let's hold that thought for a sec. We'll get right back to it. Now, the holidays are the perfect time to get a little bit more glammed up, even if you're attending more virtual parties than past years. Thrive Cosmetics, yes, cosmetics instead of cosmetics, is one of our favorite beauty brands that we discovered this year. Their products are high performance, award-winning, and are both vegan and cruelty-free. The clinically proven formulas highlight your best features and improve your skin over time. Our go-to, and Julie, I know you love this one, is the award-winning mascara called Liquid Lash Extensions.
So good.
And I don't know about anybody else, but I have not been able to get my lash extensions this year because COVID. And this product makes my lashes so long, I've been asked if I'm wearing extensions. This flake-free, smudge-free, and clump-free product has more than 7,000 five-star reviews and won Glamour's Best Clean Beauty Product of 2020 award for the best mascara. And now a lot of their holiday sets include a free tube of this mascara. Plus, for every product you buy, they donate to help a woman thrive. Yes, that's where the cosmetics come from. Start thriving and help women in need today by going to thrivecosmetics.com/dateable for 15% off your first purchase. That's Thrive, CAUSE medics.com/DATEABLE for 15% off. And one more quick announcement from us. Let's face it, it's a weird time to be dating or developing relationships. Have you recently decided that you want to make some changes to your love life? Maybe you've recently re-entered the dating scene. Maybe you've gone on one too many dates that went nowhere. Or maybe you're ready to take your current relationship to the next level. That is exactly why we created the Sounding Board, a true extension of our podcast that delivers a personalized experience, which includes one-on-one coffee dates with us, a monthly Dateable Live after show, exclusive audio content, and much more. Allow Julie and I become your dating Sherpas to provide real-time guidance and wisdom in a more intimate way so we can navigate dating and relationships together. Join the Sounding Board today by going to dateablepodcast.com/sounding board. Again, that's dateablepodcast.com/sounding board. Okay, let's get back into this convo. And the core of this is about building up your confidence and your self-esteem, which is related to our newest Sounding Board audio series, which is all about loving yourself and building up that quiet confidence. But at the core of that is all about self-esteem. I'm reading this book about self-esteem, and the author believes that your self-esteem is the immune system for your mind. So if your self-esteem is compromised, then your mind is compromised. And I thought that was a really great way to look at why self-esteem is so important for your holistic health. So I really like that from Tara. That's, she's focusing on building up confidence and loving herself.
I mean, I'm looking at so many of these, Ryan, valuing myself and giving myself more to people who value me as well.
Yeah.
Ooh, love that one. We talked about this on the Jared Freed episode too. Is so much of it is we think like, oh, if I really like them, they must want to do the exact same with me. And if I want to spend every waking moment with them, they want to do the same with me. And that doesn't always happen. And if people aren't showing you that, why overinvest in people that aren't? So I love this, I'm going to invest in people that invest in me.
And it's related to Emily's too. She said, I'm going to stop thinking about and hoping that the guy likes me. And instead, I'm going to focus on deciding whether or not I even like him. That's so big, because so much about dating is trying to win the other person's approval and affection when you haven't even decided if you like this person or not.
Right. I think Cynthia also falls under that, to be more confident about myself, prioritize my needs, and stop trying to be the chill girl.
Cool girl syndrome. We've all been there. So guilty.
But it's like these, I feel like sometimes we feel bad because we feel like they're selfish to want these things, but it's not. It's like, if you can feel good about things, then you can also be more of a loving and giving partner to someone else.
And that's related to what Kendra said. She said she hopes to be a better communicator. She understand that I have lots of healthy relationships outside of romance. That's key right there. So if something about a person's triggering unhealthy actions in me, it's a red flag. I think sometimes we forget that. Like, we recognize healthy relationships that are platonic, that are, that are people we're not dating. Yet when we get into these romantic relationships, we forget what that healthy relationships could look like. So I love that she's modeling healthy relationships, after like relationships that are not necessarily romantic.
Yeah, I think there's so many times we put this pressure on ourselves. We talked about this in the episode with Nikki Novo. It's like, we don't put this pressure on ourselves for any other relationship in life. They just flow naturally. And if you had a friend that just never responded to your text, why would you keep texting them? You wouldn't. Like, you invest back in people that are investing in you. And I think like also I love it too, because it also proves that there's nothing wrong with you because you're single. Like, if you have other healthy relationships, it doesn't mean that you're incapable of a relationship. It just means that for whatever reason, you're either one, falling into the trap of being someone that you're not in your healthy relationships, or you just haven't met that person, or whatever the reason could be.
A great temperature check is always, would a friend do this to me? Would a friend say this to me? And would I say this to a friend? And Jason kind of says this in his post too. He says he wants to be more vulnerable and admit to people that I might be nervous or new to a situation and not be afraid of this type of proclamation, which is so it's just like, it shows you that sometimes we're so afraid to show ourselves to people we're dating, yet we do it with the people we love in our lives that we're not dating. So why not show that vulnerable side of you and be able to be honest with yourself and with them, how you're feeling in the moment?
Yep. And then to kind of wrap this up, this is the perfect one to do it. And it's from Julie, not me, but I do agree with this. Chill on expectations and just enjoy meeting new people. I mean, honestly, I think we get so ahead of ourselves so many times. I'm guilty of this too, for sure. But it's like, just if you go into every new thing, it's just like, I'm getting to know someone new. Yes. I'm meeting them. It's kind of like back to like the friends thing. When you go in, you're not like, is this going to be my best friend? Like, you know?
I know. Is she going to call me back? Is she going to ask me out for another date? Like, as a friend?
It's like that weird nervous energy. People pick up on that. Just like chill, enjoy life, and, let things play out the way they're supposed to be. Easier said than done. But.
It's easier said than done, but like, have fun with it. How privileged are we to be in a world where we can choose our romantic partner? We have that option. We have that control and ability. Some of the people in the past have not been able to have that sort of option. So we are very privileged. We are very lucky. So we should make the best out of it and just have fun with it all. It's totally a great process to be part of.
I think people will enjoy dating apps. Like, we see people just blaming dating apps, like being so negative. And it's, if you really treat it as just another way to be introduced to people. And if things don't click, or like, I don't know, I feel like I shared a couple weeks ago that I had someone like end it because like I didn't like horror movies and sci-fi. And at the moment I was just like, what the fuck? But then also I'm like, do I want to spend my life watching? Like, if this is so important to this person, and I'm also like now talking to people that I have so much more in common with. So it's just, this always happens. Like, I know personally, it's always happens. It's like, in the moment you think it's the freaking end all and be all of the world when something doesn't work out. And then you meet someone that is just such a better fit. Maybe it's not like immediate, but eventually it will happen. So I think if we just take it for what it is and not be so butthurt every time something doesn't work out and just look at it as like par of the course. I mean, your happiness in general, like if it can just roll off a little, like, I don't know, you could just move on and do something else with your day.
There's a really interesting technique where you separate the action from your judgment of it. So if someone doesn't call you back, That's just an action in itself. And then you separate that from how you would take that as, oh, they don't like me, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable. And you separate the two. So every time an action happens, you take it at face value, like you were saying, and then you decide how you want to react to it. And I think this is a great technique for all of us to practice. It's very hard. I've been trying to do it, but it just makes so much sense because a lot of times what people's actions, what they're doing is independent of you. It's something that is happening in their life.
Totally.
So we can't take it as like, oh my gosh, this is something affecting me. I need to take it personally. I also want to read some other posts from our sounding board members because they've just been so inspirational, like Dawn, she is in a committed relationship. She is engaged to get married. She has kids. And she says, while not actively dating, groups for married people also don't make sense for me. I'm so happy to find a community with people in different relationship stages and so much support. I'm so happy to say I'm ending 2020 with great new friends. This is what we're talking about. Dating is not just about single people either. It's everyone's dating at every phase in their life, whether they're married or not. And even if you're in a relationship, you're still dating your partner. So this is so important for us to hear.
Yeah. And also finding other people. Like, it's too much to put everything on your partner. Like, yes, they can be there for you. They can be your best friend or whatever, but it doesn't need to be like your whole center of your world, because that's when the resentment happens too, when people don't have enough of their own life going on.
Yeah, for sure. Should we do this one from Leora too? It's so beautiful.
Let's do our last one, and then we'll.
So grateful to Julie and Yue and this group. How we love and relate is so personal and also so meta. This group at this historical time of historical reckoning and self-reflection is absolutely where I'm meant to be. The podcast and community here have played an integral role in that. Oh, we love it. We love that you are exactly where you need to be, and we want you to be here.
Yeah, like what I'm taking away from all of this, it's like, a 2021 intention. First of all, just chill the fuck out. I think that's
the fuck out.
one of them. And it's like, appreciate what you have, what love is there already. I think so much, and I'm guilty of this, is like you're fixated on finding a romantic partner, but you don't recognize all the love that shows up in your day to day. And I think if you can recognize that, it's easier to chill the fuck out, because it's not like you have no love if someone doesn't text you back or goes away. It's like they're just not it right now. Like, it's like that's all it is. It's no reflection of yourself unless you make it a reflection of yourself.
And know that in the new year, because every time we start a new year, people feel like things are going to happen. And I think that's a wrong way of approaching a new year, because again, that's out of your control. You have no idea what's going to happen. What you can control is in the new year, new things are going to happen inside my head. I'm going to take better control of my emotions. I'm going to feel more compassion and empathy for people. That I can do as soon as the clock turns midnight and I start 2021. So think about that as we enter the new year. We will continue to remind you all of that because we need the reminder ourselves as well. But setting that intention for the new year is extremely important. And we want to hear what your intentions are. Share with us either through Facebook or Instagram, or you can email us hello@dateablepodcast.com. We want to hear your intentions so we can keep each other accountable.
So again, just to clarify, the general Love in the Time of Corona is open to all. It is a free group. And then if you want to take it up a notch, the sounding board is where it is. And for that, you just go to the dateablepodcast.com/sounding board. We have 3 tiers, so you can kind of select what fits your needs. And that is, the place where the true magic happens, where these true deeper bonds are being connected. I talked to one of our members, Jason, who's been a host since the very first day. And he was like, at the beginning, I was a little not skeptical, but like a little concerned that I wouldn't get as many viewpoints because it's a smaller group of people. But then he's like, it has been the total opposite. It is something that I go to every Thursday when before I was not, because the conversations have gotten so deep. They're not just surface level anymore. These people are like my true friends and confidants, and they get where I'm at. And I think like that, to me, I was like, this is exactly what we wanted to do with the sounding board. It's like having a smaller yet super engaged group of people that are your go-to people.
Yes. Thank you, Jason, for being part of our group and for being along for the ride for the last few years now.
Yeah, Jason was on the exit interview.
One of our most popular episodes. So we really appreciate you, Jason. I know we mention you a lot. I hope you don't mind, but we do.
No, he loves it. He loves it.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't love it? All right. That's it for this episode. Brand new episode of 2021. We'll be back next week for another bonus episode. And as always, we wrap it up by saying, stay dateable. The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. Want to continue the conversation? First, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with the handle @DateablePodcast. Tag us in any post with the hashtag StayDateable, and trust us, we look at all of those posts. Then head over to our website, dateablepodcast.com. There you'll find all the episodes as well as articles, videos, and our coaching service with vetted industry experts. You can also find our premium Why series, where we dissect, analyze, and offer solutions to some of the most common dating conundrums. We're also downloadable for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Overcast, Stitcher Radio, and other podcast platforms. Your feedback is valuable to us, so don't forget to leave us a review. And most importantly, remember to stay dateable.